Now this is interesting. As you've seen, there's a lot of IPs that have been turned into platform fighters throughout the years. PlayStation Crew, Nickelodeon, Warner Bros. In general, there's a lot of IPs here. And honestly, it's gotten me into thinking, what other IPs could fit the platform fighter genre? And if they can't fit, how do we make them fit? Well, here's my thoughts. Let's start with the one that is probably the most interesting to talk about, RWBY. I don't think I have to say it to anyone, but the RWBY franchise has definitely been hit with mid. You can definitely notice it after Season 3, but a lot of the ideas and a lot of the things that they were trying to do were not to the potential that they could be, so it's been incredibly middling. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't a few ideas that you couldn't use in a platform fighter. There are 3 ideas that you can use: dust, weapons, and air dashing. Dust in the RWBY universe is primarily used for combat. They're sort of things that kind of enhance weaponry and sort of defenses that you can use against someone. So someone uses fire dust, probably does more damage. If they use ice dust, you freeze. Very, very simple. But how do you put it in a platform fighter? Me, I would just make it so that they are custom moves. Now, that may seem like it might take a lot of work in order to do. I don't really think so. I think what you should do is that you should just make every single move that you have just have the properties of dust, rather than to, make an entirely different move. So, if you pick fire dust, you'll have less range on most of your things, but you'll do a little bit more damage, and you can toggle it on. With electric dust, a lot of the special moves that you would have would be faster, but as a downside, it would have more end lag at the end of it. Maybe there's some earth dust where it's like a lot of the moves can have a sort of property to super armor. Maybe you can take more attacks, but maybe if you're put in a stun lock, you could probably be stunned for way longer. And maybe there's a dust where there's a lot more range to moves, but a lot of the special moves that you would use, even though they do have range, probably don't attack for as much damage. With this, custom moves wouldn't really be too bad to animate. It would just be properties at the end of the day that you could toggle, making it a more fun feature that doesn't necessarily have to take in a lot of development time. With that, let's get into the next one, which is weapon switching. I think it would be very interesting if we incorporated the weapon switching that RWBY does have and make it into actual characters. Well, what do I mean by this? So, okay, here's how it goes. Let's say we have RWBY, right? Usually she is a zoner. She wants to fight from afar because physically she's not as strong as people. But when she weapon switches, what happens is she turns from a zoner into a rushdown, basically making it so that she can be in a lot of situations at once. Although in the show it's usually immediately, I would think that there would have to be some sort of disadvantages that come from this. Maybe it takes a few frames, so if you're doing it in someone's face, they can get some type of opportunity to attack, but some sort of disadvantage in order to help with it, especially since, this is a video game, would probably help. But if they didn't do it anyway, maybe they'll just do it just for the fact that it's cool. There's a lot of things you could probably do with this sort of matter. I could imagine things such as Blake becoming a rushdown sort of character, sacrificing your health in order to get in, turning into more of a grappler with grabbing and then pummeling people. I think that could be really cool. Maybe for Lee, he can be a sort of Rekka character at first, but he can be like mid-range with his guns afterward. There's a lot of things you could possibly do with this. And finally, the biggest one of them all, air dashing. Honestly, I think we should just steal from Air Dash Online and just put it into this game. For anyone that doesn't know, Air Dash Online was a platform fighter that was going to be made. Apparently there was a lot of shady things that happened to it, so the source code for all of it is gone. So Technically, the only way that you were able to play it back in the day was actually be at some of the events where people played with it, but it's completely gone now. But what did Air Dash Online do? Basically, they had a button that was for air dashing, but their air dash mechanics for each character was very different. For one guy, you air dash and steam comes out that you can use for other things. Another person's air dash was smaller, but had sort of super armor in order to counteract it. Others had an air dash that was actually like a hitbox that hit you as he did it. If you take these mechanics and you just put it into the RWBY IP, I truly do think it would mix very well. I mean, considering the fact that you see a lot of fight scenes from RWBY, they're mostly jumping on and using every single which way in order to get into the air and go to many different places anyway. So honestly, it's just lore accurate to give them something like this. Mixing all of this together seems hectic as all hell, which is honestly very fun. I know people don't usually like the more faster pace of platform fighters now because it seems very, samey, but I think if you can actually put a different twist in this with the sort of ideas that we have, it might seem very favorable. What I wouldn't give for shit like this, man. This is fucking cool. But there's one more sort of thing that I want to talk about before I end it here. Have any of y'all played Bakugan? Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone that's 10 or 11 right now is nostalgic as hell. I think Bakugan actually has a lot of things that you could take in order to make him a really decent platform fighter. If I were to do the roster, I wouldn't just put in the main characters. I would want to put in like special things that people didn't really see. I think the two that really bring up a lot of things would probably be Naga and also Leonidas. Naga was a sort of main villain of the series, at least the first one, so him having an appearance looking scary as hell on the roster would be fucking fantastic. But the second one comes from the DS game. Leonidas was this sort of creature that didn't really have a purpose. He kind of went into the human world randomly and, he was kind of an asshole. But over time, you became his friend and you used him in a lot more battles until you get to the final battle where unfortunately it seems as though he sacrificed. But, it's a children's cartoon, so, we brought him in the end. But he's very cool. He's a very cool design. And it would be really, really terrible to not include something like that and put it into a Bakugan game. And that's just the overview. I didn't even talk about things like mechanics. When it comes to mechanics, I want two important things. I want ability cards and gate cards to be used in battle. So, for ability cards, I would just put them more so as maybe supers, maybe something like that. You kind of charge it up, and then maybe there's a card sign that you could use against someone, and then, you activate it, and then the effect happens. I would think it would have to be like the original game where you only have 3 ability cards, and basically make it so that either it's an assist, a special move, or a sort of wacky ability that happens. The wacky ability could vary, but I would really want that when it comes to Bakugan. The second one, which is much more important, is definitely gate cards. I would do gate cards like a stage list, but you kind of throw down like it's the game. What do I mean? Alright, I mean it like this. In a neutral sense, both of you will get 1 gate card each. But if someone loses, they instead now have 2 ways in order to get gate cards. You can spend a gate card, and the stage selected that you did beforehand will actually travel you to that stage. Maybe in order to give a little bit more flair, there's also an added bonus of you picking that stage with your gate card. I kind of think about it in like that first Naruto PS2 game that I played. I'm going to put gameplay on it right now. But basically in that game, I believe if you were far enough from the opponent, you can actually travel into the next part of the stage if you used a jutsu. I believe so, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure you can switch the stages. Instead of doing this sort of range thing, what happens is that you just spend the gate card in order to get to the particular stage that you want. Obviously, it'd be weird in general in order to make specific stages with gate cards. Although a good idea, I don't really know how you'd be able to balance that, honestly. I don't know. I do think it's a very interesting idea in order to change stages while you're fighting someone. So it's not this thing whether it's like, oh, I'm always going to be in this disadvantage. You'll be at disadvantage at some point, and then as time goes on, you might be able to get the stage that you actually want. If they allowed me, I definitely want the terrain to be interactable in a sense, so that we can really, you know, fight a lot of people. And honestly, when it comes to the roster, I'm kind of torn, because it's like, I don't know if I only want to do Season 1 guys, or I wanted to do it throughout every single generation of Bakugan. I don't know. Maybe Season 1 just to be a little bit more nostalgic, and maybe we put in like a lot of not cards. Maybe we put in some Bakugan that, you know, are interesting, but they're only like base mons, like, you know, Ravenoid and Monarch and shit like that. No matter how you slice it, I definitely do really think that a Bakugan platform fighting game would be so fun to play. Especially if the models were more comparable to like Reptar rather than like very skinny and low to the ground characters. I definitely do think that they could be a lot more generous when it comes to the character design. I mean, thinking about Tigrera and using her like Sylvanos with like her fucking blades and fangs is so cool. But you know, hopefully, maybe, you know, maybe when I'm 40. I don't fucking know. That's really it though. Maybe this can be a series if people actually like them. Maybe I can always do like 2 each so that it gets a little bit more interesting. So yeah, that's the first part, the 2 IPs that I would choose. What sort of IPs would you want for platform fighters? Maybe I can make a video about it. And hey, again, I've said it before, maybe this can be its own series where I actually put my own spin to things. But even if you don't comment, even if you don't like, even if you don't subscribe, I'm just glad you're here. I hope all of you are well. See you next time.
Eat it. It's my fucking ass.